Hey everyone. Well, this morning when I got up and logged on to my channel, I was going to do a video on Serena Williams being asked by a journalist, a black female journalist, why she chose to do the Crip Walk as her victory dance. But I kind of got sidetracked because of some comments that were made on one of my videos regarding freedom of speech is dead in America. Now, the person that left this video provoking comment is actually a subscriber of mine, and he left quite a few comments. So hold on a second, you guys. Okay, one of his many comments was, I saw your response video and I actually have to side with YouTube on this one. You were apparently flagged for promoting hate speech or violence, which is actually a legitimate reason. It has nothing to do with being politically correct and more to do with advocating for making a bad decision even worse. He says, there is enough pointless bloodshed in the ghettos of America as it is. The last thing we need are more people out there who can't even properly structure a sentence with a shotgun. All right. So I'm going to address this comment, and the reason why I'm doing a video response versus just writing in the comments section is because I don't have enough space for that. Let's address the first part first, promoting hate speech or violence. I basically shared with you guys my experiences with those types of people in this community. And there was never any type of language saying that they should be targeted, that they should be killed, that they should be taken out in an ambush. There was never any type of language like that. So to say that I am promoting hate speech or violence is ridiculous. What I promote and what I will not stop promoting is self-protection. And the stories that I shared with you guys had everything to do with self-protection. And many times when you are protecting yourself in a confrontation, things can become violent. The one thing that I cannot stand and I cannot support is some Negro trying to chastise me for telling other Negroes to protect themselves when they are being confronted by a potentially violent individual. The other part of his comment was that YouTube was right in flagging my video because this had nothing to do with being politically correct. It had to do with making a bad situation worse. With that kind of mentality, you will always be a victim. You will become a victim of someone. Now, there have been situations that I've been in where I have been able to take a bad situation and actually turn it around, but that's usually with somebody that's black. The concessions or the passes that I give blacks, I tend not to give to other people because I feel like I don't want to be a part of black on black violence if I can help it. I don't want to be a part of killing someone that is black if I can help it. So my first thought is always, how can I change this situation from something bad to something better? And it's usually dealing with my own people. I feel like I understand them more, and so I always try to come from a more peaceful place when I'm dealing with them. Now, that's usually what happens. However, if I see that someone is just so ignorant and cannot be handled in a more peaceful manner, then I will turn the nigga switch on. One example is, I lived in the San Fernando Valley, and this one apartment that I lived in, there was some black woman, young black girl, and she had a son, and I had never seen this woman ever in my life. But according to her, she was parked in my parking space and unloading all of the trash in her car into the space where I would normally park, because we had some exchange of words. Now, I could tell this bitch was crazy. I could tell she was off. And I also saw her son was in the car with her, and he probably was about 7 or 8, somewhere around there. I would say between 7 and 9. So when we pulled up to park, this chick was in my parking space, so I blew my horn to let her know she should pull out so I can pull in. And she didn't move. She did not move. So I blew the horn again and waited. She still didn't move. So I put the car in park, got out, went over to her truck, knocked on the window, and said, "You're in my parking space, can you please move?" And I went back to my car and waited. She still didn't move. So I got back out of the car and I said, "What's your problem? Why aren't you moving? You're in my parking space. You don't even live here." She didn't. She lived across the street, turns out. And she said something to the effect of that I had been yelling at her from across the street, I suppose. That I had been hostile, and that I had cursed her out from across the street, I suppose. I don't know who she was thinking of, or what experience she had actually had, or if this was just something in her head. But I knew that I didn't know her, and I never had any type of exchange with her. She even suggested that we fight. Now, you guys don't know this about me, but I had just been out of, I don't know if you would want to call it a prison, but I had just been out, fresh out from being incarcerated. I had only been out maybe 7 months. So I looked at the situation and I said, why would I engage her in a fight, in a physical altercation over something as stupid as this? And secondly, I'm not trying to go back there over some BS. I'm not. And the other thing was, her child is in the car. What am I showing either of them by snatching this bitch out of the car and beating the shit out of her. There would be nothing accomplished. So what I said was, lady, I'm not being confrontational with you. I'm not being hostile with you. Frankly, I don't want to go back to jail over this. I have no idea what your problem is. I don't know you. Can you just please get out of my parking space? And I went back to my car. So finally she got out of her car and she said, "Can I talk to you?" This is the way she said it. She was like, "Well, I just spoke to my son and he was like, 'Mama, why are you acting like this?'" He was like, "That lady is being really nice. She not trying to fight you. Why are you acting like this?" She had the most sheepish look on her face, like she was genuinely embarrassed by her behavior. And I just thought, wow, that could have turned out really different had I been on my cycle or about to come on my cycle. I'm giving you guys too much information, I know, but it factors. You guys think that we just act crazy just to be crazy? No. When it's close to that time, I can get really psycho. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so glad it wasn't close to that time because things could have been very different. The other thing was, like I said, I always give some space, some room for making peace with my people. And so that was the other thing. I was like, I'm so glad I didn't just snap and turn this into something else, because the lesson that he learned from me was way more important than what he would have learned or what he would have seen us doing outside as two black women fighting each other over nonsense, really. And the funny thing was, after that incident, I saw them. This is how I knew that they lived across the street. I saw them waving. I heard some woman and some child like saying, "Hi, hi, hi." And when I looked across the street, it was the lady that had just 2 nights ago been trying to fight me and her son. And they were waving at me. So that was a lesson for me. That was a lesson of try to walk in peace. Try to make situations better instead of igniting them. But I usually do that with us. Other people, I don't really give those kind of concessions to, because I feel like they're coming from a different place. Most times a place of superiority, most times a place of predominance, just looking down on blacks. And that just doesn't sit right with me. And I can't make situations like the ones that I described in that video right when I see when I see where it's coming from. I can't make it right. And I won't even try. I have no interest in making it right. All I want to do is meet their violence with violence. I am not Martin Luther King. I am not Mahatma Gandhi. I don't believe in those principles all the time. They don't always work. I think you have to individualize those things when you apply those principles. With some people, yeah, you can make it work using peaceful practices versus violence. And with others, you cannot. And then, I said before, we're always the ones taught to be peaceful. We're always the ones expected to be peaceful, to be the protestors. The other day, I saw a video where the police were chasing down a white suspect. The suspect got out of the car, and the first thing he did was he came out blasting. He wasn't going to give them one opportunity to kill him first. He came out blasting. And you know what? Most of the whites that watched that video, they didn't condemn him. They didn't say, look at that cracker ass violent animal shooting at the police. They were like, bravo. But had that been someone black, male or female, the media would have been on the attack. The public would have been on the attack. And the mentality of the people would have been something along the lines of, you see, they're just animals. All they know is violence. All they know is how to shoot guns. They have no regard for life. There are moral and social rules in this world, and they are based on who is provoking the violence. If you are black, you are a savage. If you are non-black, you are a defender or a protector. And I refuse to embrace that kind of mentality. I am not a savage, but I will protect myself. I do not believe that most black people are savages, but I do believe every black person should protect themselves. And that is not hate speech. That is a speech of knowing and understanding where you are, where you live. This has nothing to do with a neighborhood or an area of a city. This has to do with everywhere you go. I don't care where you are. You could be in the hills of Montana. You could be in the south of France on the Riviera. You could be in the jungles of Africa. I don't care where you are. You should always be protected. You should always be willing to protect your life. And that was the message. You can call it hate all you want. But this has nothing to do with hate. People have began to redefine words based on how they want you to conform in society. There was nothing violent about that video. There was violence discussed in the video, but there was nothing violent about the video. This was not a video saying that people should just go out and attack illegal aliens. So, I'm just, and then, he writes me and he says, here's my email in case you'd like to have a private discussion. We don't need to have a private discussion. What for? I don't agree with most of your comments. And so there are portions of your comments that I understand. He says, what I cannot condone is your total disregard and hatred toward other ethnic groups who have absolutely nothing to do with the affronts committed by the minority within their groups. I can understand you not supporting that, and that's fine. But again, that's how I feel. And I think people tend to forget when you're listening to videos on YouTube, the information is usually subjective. We usually do videos based on our experiences and opinions that have formed from those experiences. So although I can understand what you're saying, at the same time, people do it all the time. Why do you think blacks have such a bad reputation here? Not even here, internationally. Because people have seen things on television, they've experienced things in their real life, and they've formed opinions. So even though those opinions are based on experiences here and there, they're still valid in that person's mind. They're still valid in that person's reality. No, I haven't had experiences with every single person from Mexico, South America, or Central America. But I don't need to have experiences with every single person in order to form an opinion based on the experiences, the majority of the experiences that I have had. So I don't expect you or need you to condone anything. I would like for you to have some understanding of where it's coming from and respect that I am entitled to have an opinion and to feel the way that I feel.